allow me to introduce Prabha Khaitan Foundation. It is a non-profitable trust based in Kolkata, which endeavors to showcase the literary and cultural essence of India, besides the many social welfare initiatives. It was established by Dr. Prabha Khaitan, an eminent Indian author, philanthropist, cultural and social activist. The foundation curates and organizes events like book launches, authors' meets, literary festivals, panel discussions, boutique festivals for performing and visual arts, besides being deeply committed to social welfare initiatives, gender equality, and women empowerment. Today it is my distinct honor to introduce a trailblazer in the world of journalism, an individual whose name is synonymous with journalistic excellence and insight. She has fearlessly tackled the most pressing issues of our times, bringing clarity to the complexities of politics with unparalleled depth and insight. Please join me in welcoming Priya Sehgal. The Round Table, Cover Story, and We Women Want. She is also a political columnist for Sunday Guardian. Her forte is political and explanatory journalism. An alumni of the prestigious St. Stephen's College, where she did her graduation in English Honours and also her Masters in English. She began her career with Sunday Magazine, followed by Outlook and India Today. She has also written a book, The Contenders, that profiles 16 generation next political leaders of India, from Rahul Gandhi, Akhilesh Yadav, Yogi Adityanath, Arvind Kejriwal, to the Badals. Her shows have won several EMBA awards and the British Council Hansard Fellowship, with internship at the House of Lords. She has also won the Young Achievers Award by YFlow. In conversation with her, we have Sevantika Bhandari. Sevantika has over 2 decades of global experience in banking and financial services. She has built businesses and brands across countries and companies. She is currently a consultant who works on growth strategies for companies. She did her post-graduation in management from NDI Gurgaon and was a graduate student of economics from LSR College, Delhi University. Sevantika is an artist and traveler who loves London, longs for Paris, has given her heart to Bombay, and lives in and belongs to Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Over to you, Sevantika.
Hello? Yeah. Hi, Priya. I had a great chat with Priya just now, for about an hour, and I realized that she has 2 of her batchmates here. So whatever she tells us, we'll start with her life story a little bit, and we can get the insider information from her batchmates here. So let's start with the life story, and then, at some point we'll verify some details.
And I was the journalist.
No, but let's start with the most cliched question. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Priya, apart from your current book, and we'll come to that, but a little bit about Vellum, St. Stephen's, and you're a Delhi girl.
Totally a Delhi girl, in fact, despite Vellums. But first of all, I want to thank all of you for coming here today, Prabha Khaitan Foundation, and to Selja. What a lovely introduction. Thank you so much. And for you for being here and doing this event with me. As you said, my beginning was Vellum Girls. I was one of the few, I think, victims of the Enid Blyton generation, because that's when we read about boarding schools, midnight fees. So when my mother asked me, I was in boarding school at that time, and she said, your brother is going to Doon, because I think that's part of the DNA, and it's, how most families run. So then she said, why don't you, should we get you into Vellums? I said, yeah. Vellum means boarding school, midnight fees. I was very excited. Of course, I have to say Vellums was that and a whole lot more. I mean, if you ask me, I don't regret the decision about Vellums at all. Because, it's not just a school, it's also a family. You make friends that are with you through life, We talked about my Stephen's friends here. The connection with them is also a Vellums connection. So, at the end of the day, I think Vellums, everybody should have a bit of a boarding school in them somewhere.
In this part of the world, we have a lot of Mayo connection.
Also, yes. There's been a Mayo Girls also.
Yes,
No.
there is. When later it came much later. Tell me why journalism? Because we spoke about this. Journalism as a course, as a major, wasn't offered when you were doing your masters or bachelors, right?
You're dating me.
No, but it's how come your interest in journalism? What sparked? We have two of your batchmates who didn't become journalists. So, what led you down that path?
Actually, journalism, if you see my shows or read my stuff, nothing in my life is planned. Even in my shows, I don't do questions. People say, send me a questionnaire. I never send a questionnaire. Because I like it to be organic. Conversations ke baad, what you say, uske baad, what I say, and then it just builds up. We just discuss, today we will talk about this, and then let the conversation flow as it is. My career was also like that. I think I never planned to be a journalist. I did English honors because I like writing, and that, those were the marks that get you into a certain college. So I was focused more on the college than the course. But English was something I was keen on. I thought maybe I'll become a professor. I tried my hand at advertising, copywriting, which I was pretty lousy at. And in fact, I got into, I was trying for this Dr. Radhakrishnan scholarship at Oxford, which I didn't get. But when I went for the interview, you know how it is, we all were sitting outside and someone saying, oh, andar ek aadmi hai yellow t-shirt mein bade sawal kar raha hai, bahut, asking a lot of questions which are very tough. So I went in, turned out to be a DOSCO. So I said, hey, you're asking, why are you asking such tough questions? You're from Doon and you're not disservice to Wellens Doon. And he laughed and there was some banter, but obviously that banter didn't go down well with the rest of the people on the panel. And whatever reasons, I didn't get it. But that gentleman felt very bad and he called me. And he wrote to me in those days, wherever he found my address, he wrote to me, he says, come and meet me. And he then had a chat with me, what do you want to do? And so he said, look, you try again next year. But meanwhile, you like writing a Sunday magazine, he was from Mayo, he knew Veer Sanghvi. So he said, why don't you apply to Sunday magazine? So I applied to Sunday magazine and that's how I became a journalist.
We will come to Veer Sanghvi, who also wrote the foreword of your book. But for now, tell me, back when journalism was not even a subject, you've spent 3 decades in journalism. How has it changed?
No, journalism has changed a lot because initially when we began, if I want to just, as Amit Shah would say, chronology samajhiye. So let me. When I began my career in journalism, I was covering crime because that's what they give to the rookies and newcomers. And it's organically from crime I graduated to politics because jail hawala hua. So from all the politicians were caught in the jail.
Tell us there's a link?
Yes, there is a link, which is how very naturally from crime it became politics. And in our time, I began in the early 90s. There were just a few magazines, India Today, Sunday Magazine, Outlook came later, or 8 TV channels. So, the whole crux, we were the mainstream media, we were where you came to for news, newspapers, television, etc. Today, what has happened in 30 years, we are no longer the drivers. Now, up social media aa gaya, Twitter, YouTube, the citizen has become the driver. Jiske paas mobile phone hai, wo journalist hai. He's uploading stories, we are following what is trending on Twitter and social media, on Instagram, rather than the other way around. So that has changed.
Is that a good thing? Everybody is a citizen journalist. Everybody with an opinion today can voice it, whether it is based on fact or not. Is that a good thing?
It is a good and a bad thing. A good thing is because now there is no shortage of information. You have. But the thing is, how do you weed out what is correct, what is not? The editorial filter jo hota hai, newsroom ka, that is not there. Whatever we do, at least we decide, is this news, will it incite this thing, or will this news take opinion in this way or that way? You take a line. There is some thinking before the news is put out. Now the news is already out, so we have to deal with it and control it or decipher it or explain it. So it's become the other way around. So that in a way is also causing a lot of harm, as you can see also, because there's not just news, there's also fake news. We are having that problem also, which is, that is the main issue. Your first question?
Yes. So I'm coming back to how it has changed in the context of a woman. So this is women of Ehsaas, Sushma, Shailaja and Preeti, and 2 of us. So let's do that. How was it for you entering journalism as a woman? Crime beat, which I can imagine may not have been a woman-dominated sort of area. Then politics was there, and have you seen that change over 30 years? randomly, what was acceptable clothes for a woman to appear serious? I don't know. Is that a thing? Was that relevant? How would you, in a completely male-dominated sort of workplace?
See, clothes, I think, are the issue wherever, in whichever work, you go to a corporate office, you have to dress a certain way. I'm going to Parliament, so you cannot just go in, some tank tops to Parliament. But I was one of the few, initially, in fact, I just met a journalist who's a lady who was older than me, and she said, you were one of the first few people who wore jeans to Parliament. And we all said, "Dekho, hum pe to salwar kameez," and apparently she told me one male MP ticked me off that aapne dupatta nahi pehna hai. I said, but how can he even tell you that? That is, with great authority, they can tell you anything. So that is the other grey area where, where we have to deal with, because you're also in the public. So there is, yes, you have to look a certain way, which I think there is a code and an etiquette also, when you're holding a public, you're interacting a lot with public. So you should come across in a certain way, serious way, and serious ways are considered in a certain kind of a dress code. But more and more now, I think women are very comfortable. They are trouser suits, pantsuits, salwar kameezes.
Proportion of women increasing in the field from back when you started?
Oh, a lot. See, what happened earlier was we used to go, also because the infrastructure has come up. A lot of it was A, mindsets, B, the infrastructure. Now when you go to a village, there is, I remember when we campaign trail mein jaate the, the whole problem was, where do women go to lose? Simple thing like that. And I was talking to women MPs. They say, "Hamare saath bhi wahi problem tha," which now we have, so that's a thing that everybody goes through. Now, because I think also it's becoming more common. Pehle I remember one Congress, I will not mention him, cabinet minister, who had a very reputation of being very flirtatious or whatever. So he says, I can't help it. Women come to me and say, "Bhai, aapse akele mein baat karni hai." ऐसा अकेले में बात करनी है, बिकॉज उस समय मोबाइल फोन्स नहीं थे, तो जब स्कूप चाहिए होता है तो फिर अकेले में ही मिलेगा ना, कोई एक्स्ट्रा इन्फॉर्मेशन. इज नथिंग मोर देन दैट, बट ही चोज टू रीड इट लाइक दैट.
So coming back to editorial director, I don't know about how many of us in the audience would be familiar with how the media hierarchy works and what does an editorial director's job entail. How does this? You're into explanatory journalism and not, breaking news. Is that different? So is there a different team for that? Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
See, it's not organized. It's like how you go about it, because it's what you make of it. These are just labels at the end of the day. So I've always worked in a weekly. I have never done daily news. Even though now I'm in a 24/7 news channel, my main condition was that I don't want to do breaking news. Now what is breaking news? कि भाई मीटिंग 4 बजे नहीं थी, 4:30 बजे थी. Oh, this bill was passed in the meeting. I got it first. Manish Tiwari, Chandigarh candidate. I mean, so what? End of the day, you have to say what it means. Can Manish Tiwari win for Chandigarh? If this bill is passed, what does this bill mean? Those are the, there has to be a longevity to it. Then this akhada journalism, what you see in news channels today. Every day, I call it the Ravan channel. Ek anchor hota hai and 10 windows. The talking heads were not allowed to speak. Only the anchor keeps speaking, but 10 खड़े हुए हैं speakers जिनको उन्होंने बुलाते हैं as guests, and they don't let them speak. So he is just shouting, or he's making 2 people shout. We've had people having heart attacks on channels. Somebody died, had a heart attack on air. So that kind of journalism may get TRPs, but at the end of the day, that's not journalism. So I rather have 4 people who are stakeholders, who know what is happening, or they can give you behind the scenes खबर. Sonia Gandhi को नहीं ये करना था, पर अहमद पटेल ने ऐसे बोला, and this happened, and that how the bill got passed. So those are the stories people would like to hear, rather than just have tu mein.
I must admit, as part of researching Priya, I got a clip of hers, and she shared it with me, the launch of this book. She had the 3 most interesting guests. And it is, for a person, I must admit, and I'm so sorry, I don't follow politics very regularly, I apologize deeply for that, but for a person who does not do that, that was one of the most interesting sessions I've ever seen, because of the quality of the debate. And I then understood what explanatory journalism versus breaking news is. So if any of you, it's online, it's on YouTube, right? It's on YouTube, it's extremely interesting. Coming back to an interesting bit, you had a small stint at the House of Lords. How is that different from our parliament? Maybe I've heard horror stories about parliament. चप्पल जूते इधर-उधर फेंक रहे होते हैं. वहाँ पे भी होते हैं. वहाँ तो Brits are too posh.
Yeah, the bits are too posh. No, I went to one of the, I was there for a brief while, but I went to one of the press conferences, the PM press, there's the PM question where he actually takes question from the opposition. And B, there was a press conference where he took questions from the media. And the media asked him, they were literally bullying him. It was like a ragging session in college, more than this thing, which I was thought, here, we're now at a time where there are no press conferences, forget asking questions that are out of the, little provocative. So that is the big difference between there and now.
But they're the posh Brits.
Well, posh man, they'll ask it in English with a clipped accent. But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
So now let's come down to the book and the second sort of edition where you followed 15 contenders from 2018 to today. So a couple of questions. Let me dive right in, and I don't know how many of you have read the book. If not, it's right here. According to you, of these 315, if you were to rank in order of 1, 2, 3, who do you think will be the next Prime Minister?
Let me name the names that are there in the book. So, there is, of course, Rahul Gandhi from the Congress, there is Sachin Pilot. When I first brought out the book, there was, I tried to balance the Congress and the BJP, but now all the Congress ones have also gone to the BJP. So there is the Scindia, there is Milind Deora, there is Sachin Pilot, Yogi Adityanath, Hemanta Biswa Sarma, Akhilesh Yadav, who is actually a favorite of mine, Tejasvi Yadav, and we didn't have a woman, so I put Priyanka Gandhi because women nahi, and she seems the one with the maximum chances of becoming anything.
And you changed that from 2018 to 2024. Some contenders changed.
They passed the age thing, but I dropped Kanimoi and I think Ram Madhav and the Badals because they had passed the age, and I think also relevance-wise they were not so. So out of this lot, I think, there are others who are not included, but in terms of these people, I think the person who has the most chance, nobody has a chance until Modi is around. So I think, if we say Rahul Gandhi has wasted 10 years of the Congress, Modi has wasted 10 years of the BJP, or 15, because I think next election, God knows how it's going to go, but he's going to be around for a while more. So after him, I think of the Gen X, Yogi Adityanath, yes, and Hemanta also I would not underestimate, though he's from the Northeast and he's not a BJP guy, but he is very, very resourceful. The Assam Chief Minister. He is very resourceful, he is... he suddenly, I was in Bhopal, elections हुए थे, and suddenly he's saying that he was talking more hardcore than the Hindutva listing themselves. If Yogi has made bulldozer into an election symbol, Hemanta is not far behind. So he will, he has got what it takes, but वहाँ पे the RSS has its own way of deciding. So Yogi would be better than Hemanta in that sense. So I would actually go with what Abhishek Manu Singhvi said at my launch, which he had said Yogi, he had said Kejriwal and Rahul Gandhi, and I think Priyanka ko usne bol diya. But I think Sachin has more chances than Priyanka, but the way the Congress is, it's really...
Anyone not in the book who may not have made the cut in the book because of your the age cut, but who you think is a definite to watch out for?
See, within the BJP, people talk about Amit Shah, but मुझे लगता नहीं है, because Amit Shah is not a, Amit Shah is there because of Modi. He is like a Modi satellite. So जब तक मोदी है, Amit Shah है. तो जब मोदी नहीं है, तो I think Amit Shah will also, will not be as strong in a dominant position as he is. So I don't think it will be Amit Shah so much. I think Yogi or someone else has a better chance than him. Congress say DK Shiv Kumar. I think, though he's from the south, in fact he told me, because he was in jail recently, all opposition leaders are. So he said, one thing I learned is Tihar mein maine Hindi seekh li, because that is important to be a Prime Minister of India. He's saying Hindi. Because Pranab Mukherjee very famously said, one reason I didn't become Prime Minister कि मुझे हिंदी नहीं आती थी. तो DK Shiv Kumar से मैंने हिंदी तो सीख ली Tihar में. तो now he's... So I think DK Shiv Kumar is good. Another person I like, of course, he's too old, but I find him very fascinating, is Naveen Patnaik. I mean, he has become Chief Minister over and over again. Someone who didn't have any political clue. He was more an author, and, as we all know, and suddenly he's beaten all the others hollow.
So is there a glass ceiling? BJP has a Modi ceiling and Congress has a dynasty ceiling. Is that exists so nobody else would be able to come in?
During BJP has a Modi ceiling. He says 75 retirement age, but मुझे नहीं लगता है. He probably will change the constitution, but he won't change the retirement this thing. So he is here for as long as he's here. During my launch, Ram Madhav said 2047. Up to while you written this book, Contenders, there's no vacancy till 2047. So he's given that deadline. But I think Congress also, it revolves around the dynasty. That is the only glue, which is why abhi humne dekha tha, there was a rebellion. A lot of Congress, the G20 or whatever, they wrote letters to the Congress president and they wanted a change. But at the end of the day, they couldn't decide amongst themselves. Shashi Tharoor will not support Sachin, Sachin will not support Shashi, Digvijay will not support anyone else. So because they will not support anyone else, they could not agree to a name. So he becomes the best of worst options, Rahul Gandhi. So that is why he is the glue. So it will be somebody the family decides.
Sounds like Game of Thrones. I don't follow politics, but I follow
it's
that.
It's a modified Game of Thrones.
That's maybe a better way to put it. So, you said Patnaik is your dark horse to watch out for, is that it?
No, Patnaik is too old now.
So you won't,
yeah.
Till 2047 anyway.
Inshallah. But
you must watch that debate, by the way. I highly recommend it, her book launch debate. So tell me, from these specific people that you've named, or the others that you've witnessed over your 3 decades, to lead a country like India, which started with prime ministers who were very old, but now the same age, the country is a young country. Do you see certain traits that were common, which we've carried through from our first prime minister to today? And do you see some new ones emerging, which are the fundamental traits which will help the person become the prime minister of the country?
Okay, before I answer that, there's one thing I want to point out. All the people that I profiled, they are usually the Gen Next. So we've at a time where the generation next has taken over, except for the BJP. Rahul Gandhi has come into his own. Akhilesh Yadav has taken over from his father. Tejasvi has taken over. Omar has taken over. Stalin has taken over. So everywhere the Gen Next has taken over. And this Gen Next has all, most of them have studied in public schools and they have studied abroad. Lincoln's in Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, etc. So when they come with I had a lot of expectations of them when they came even as first-time MPs. All these pedigrees of privilege, they have come with their, fancy educations. Maybe they will come to India and do politics with a difference, In fact, I asked all of them. Rahul Gandhi, when he first came, he said, don't ask me my caste, I'm an Indian and that's all I know. 5 years down the line, he goes to Gorakhpur and he's introducing Sam Pitroda by his caste. So he's also realized that this is the way India runs. Unfortunately, in the ground, Omar Abdullah is telling me, he's saying, because first I tell Akhilesh Yadav, he's saying I tried to, fight the election on my development on 2017 when he lost to Yogi. He's saying I was talking about my expressway, my metro, my whatever. He's saying Dusra side was talking about Shamshan Ghat and Kabristan. So he's saying elections are one, development is something they expect of you, but emotion gives the final push. Emotion is really what wins elections. Omar says also, he's saying, look, people say, आपने यूनिवर्सिटी बनाई, फ्लाईओवर बनाया, तो ठीक है, ये तो आपको करना था, लेकिन आपने और क्या किया? अब तो और क्या किया? You unfortunately go into the religion or this talks of your identity politics. Rahul Gandhi, he was at a rally and this woman comes up to him and says, मेरा husband ना वो उसने murder कर दिया है, आप please उनकी mother, he's in jail, can you please help him? So he's saying, हाँ ज़रूर, what is he in jail for? She said he's in jail for murder. So he said, तो फिर उन्होंने किया है? She said, हाँ. So then he looked at her. He said, what can I do? So she said, अगर मदद नहीं कर सकते तो आप राजनेता कैसे हैं? So he said the things they expect out of you is, there's a whole different way. India runs in there's no textbook, this thing. So unfortunately, so when they come with all their highfalutin, but degrees don't work on the ground, which is why if you take Omar and Farooq will go into a person's house. He will, when he's campaigning, वो घर के अंदर घुस जाएगा. What are you cooking? He will go and chuckle it. He will go and hug the lady and he will click a picture and हो गया. Omar, on the other hand, as one journalist gave me a very good quote, he looks at you as if you're the next bout of influenza. So he takes 2 steps back from you. But that is also their public school upbringing, kind of the way they've been. In India, you have to just go with the crowd, meet people, गले लग के चलती है राजनीति आगे. So that people to people connect is something which all these kids, because they were distant, they studied outside, or whatever reason, I find that's what is lacking really. You see Modi, he walks into a room, he owns the room. I mean, we journalists, we meet him every year on Diwali, they have a meeting, the BJP. He will walk into the room and he will make a connect with everybody. किसी जर्नलिस्ट को बोलेंगे अरे आप इतने मोटे हो गए हो, पतले हो, किसी को बोलेंगे अरे अभी तक इंडिया टुडे में हो ना, अरुण पुरी का पीछा तो छोड़ो. You know, he will say something to someone and he will remember everybody. So, you know, everybody walks away with the Modi moment, which is what, you know, makes a leader, is the people, you know, one of the things, not the only thing, but that's really working in his favor.
Tell me a little bit, you've worked with very interesting people who may have been mentors or guides in your profession, and one of them being Veer Sanghvi, who's also written the foreword, you just shared that he picked you out and reached out to you again. Tell us a little bit more about Veer Sanghvi. All sort of, I think each one of us would want to know something we don't know about him.
Okay. But before that, let me tell you something about Akhilesh Yadav. I just remember 2 points about him.
He is your favorite.
He is my favorite. In fact, my original book was on Akhilesh Yadav, and MJ Akbar was my editor. And he said, "Kuch karne to do, abhi, you know, just wait for a while. Don't just write a book on him." But I don't know if all of you have been to that Lucknow Expressway, Delhi to Lucknow. It's this is something which he's designed, because he's also got an engineering degree. So he's been really involved in the whole process of it. So if you see the toll booths, they are, which I didn't know, he told me, they are shaped A and Y for Akhilesh Yadav. So जब वो हार गया, तो I said, now he said Yogi Adityanath by A. So he is very. Then the other funny thing he told me is, he said there was एक scheme थी from his father's time कि हर woman को हम साड़ी देते थे. He said I changed it to give everybody woman 500 rupees. He said अब कौन झंझट में जाएगा कि उसको ब्लू साड़ी मिली है, उसको ग्रीन मिली है, इसको सलवार कमीज चाहिए. So he said, to deal with the women's psyche, just give them money, let them buy their own sarees and their own salwar kameezes. So, you know, these are the little things which are part. Jayan Chaudhary, he's a Jat leader. He, poor fellow, he has, I think, 2 daughters or 3 daughters. He said, this thing I hear from my constituents कि आपका बेटा क्यों नहीं हुआ है. तो कोई phone करता है, मैं इस मंदिर में हूँ, अभी ये priest को सुनो, and he has to put his wife on the phone and she will hear some blessings. या ये टोटका सुनो, आपका बच्चा लड़का क्यों नहीं हुआ है. So these are, and he is a very progressive, you know, he doesn't, this thing is not an issue with him, but he's saying it's an issue for these people. So I, you know, deal with it. So these are the things you know, the little things also that politicians have to
tell us something about Rahul Gandhi. We don't know.
No, okay, I'll tell you about Rahul Gandhi. There are Stephanians here, so we were just joking the other day. When Rahul Gandhi came to college in Stephens, I think everybody ragged him, and every girl in college wanted to be proposed by him. So one of the ragging was that you proposed to this girl. So that's what we were joking. That Rahul got so sick of proposing to every girl in college that uske baad he hasn't proposed to any girl. So that's why he hasn't got married.
So MJ Akbar and Veer Sanghvi. Yeah.
No, so I think when I began working, editors were also institutions. You know, today you ask someone who's the editor, they're all nameless, you know, because there are so many channels, but also that personality is not there. Now anchors have become the face. These are not people who've been on the ground. These are not people who built, you know, their prejudices, friends, opinions. So my time, you know, I worked with like legends like Prabhu Chawla, MJ Akbar, Veer Sanghvi. I think those are the names that one would remember. Veer Sanghvi, of course, gave me my first job, so of course there is that connect with him. But I remember when I joined Sunday Magazine, I was quite fortunate because, as I said, I was covering, in fact, I covered Charles Sobraj, which I must tell you about. But after, so I got into, and because of that, I got into politics when the Hawala scam happened. And then again, school helped, because one of the people in Hawala scam was Kamal Nath. So I talked to him and we were talking about Doon and Vellums by the end of it, and that's the show is pretty new. It's about a year and a half.
So yeah, it's already out there.
But you know, I had young girls who were on Women's Day. We said let the stakeholders come and talk. So we did a town hall with these. They were from 24 to 28. In fact, the whole idea was not that women should join the workforce is fine, but you know they should also stay in the workforce. The idea is hashtag don't quit, because you know you join thinking and then you have kids or there's some issue, then if some family member is not well, it's always the woman who quits and stays at home. So the whole idea or the concept was don't quit. So anyway, I was asking these young girls what are your priorities. The priorities are work, second children, third marriage. Because of surrogacy and IVF and also they all were, which was an eye-opener for me also.
So tell me, and we come to my favorite place, which is Jodhpur. In the last 1 month, I think you visited Jodhpur twice, and you never visited us for decades before that. So what is your impression of Jodhpur? You must tell them what you told me, of course, but apart from that.
No, she has asked me, what do you know about Jodhpur? I said, everybody is 5 minutes from the airport. So I have only been here and I've just been about 5 minutes from the airport. So I haven't really been to this city. So I don't know about the place, but I do know about the people. I think there's a lot of warmth and a lot of friendship and a lot of grace. I think I found a lot of goodwill over here, which I'm, in my short span that I've been here. So I think this is a place I'm going to come back.
Yeah.
I'm definitely coming back. Call me.
Anytime. So I had a great time talking to Priya, not just here, but even before. She's extremely nice to talk to. Trust me, I was very nervous, because imagine asking her questions. I'm never nervous about my work, but this made me very nervous. So,
Ask me, I was on the other side. I've never been here.
But I had great fun, and we'll throw the floor open for questions. Sushma, yeah? There were a few people who wanted to ask you stuff which they asked you, so I'm hoping you will get
You've stolen their questions.
No, controversial ones. I didn't go there.
We invite questions from our audience. Anybody wants to put up the time?
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
You are well-known face in journalism, and you have a background of literature. I want to know what is the difference and what is the relation between journalism and literature.
I think it's different between gourmet meal and fast food.
ये क्वेश्चन जब मैं आपसे कर रहा हूँ तो मुझे ये भी याद आ रहा है कि प्रभास जोशी ने कहा था कि पत्रकारिता जल्दी में लिखा हुआ साहित्य है.
सही है. I think I cannot find a better answer than that. सही बोला उन्होंने.
Thank you. Hi Priya, this is Akanksha. In your decades of experience, how have you seen the freedom of expression change as a journalist and for the common man?
Freedom of expression as in
To say what you want to say.
No, as I said, we are in an Instagram generation. You have to say everything within the first 2 seconds or 2 minutes, otherwise people lose interest. The gone is, there was a magazine called Caravan that had a cover story for like 13, 14 pages. Nobody has the time for that. I used to do a show which used to have a half an hour, like a documentary kind of cover story was also that. Now people want it in 5 minutes. So now we started making reels, Instagram reels, mein karo, chota karo. Kamal Nath refuses to give me an interview for half an hour. He says nobody will watch it. So 10 minute ka interview dene lage hain log. So we have to be more precise. That long flowery prose, people have stopped reading actually. That's the whole problem.
I guess my question was in relation to Article 19.
Freedom of expression, I think, yes, there is a lot of limitations, but there are ways of getting around it also. If you, for instance, when I do a show, if I don't want to attack the government, I will call someone who will. So let them say it. So you also give a platform to the other point of view also. The whole idea is to have, every point of view expressed on the thing. So there are ways where you can get around it. There are issues that you can pick up which also have their own take. For instance, electoral bonds, that's something that's very relevant today. A lot of mainstream channels are not picking it up, but social media is also helping us a lot, because social media is picking it up. We are also forced to do a debate on it, once in a while. We can't ignore it totally. Yes, I will not give so much value to electoral bonds as I may to Modi ki guarantee, or to some other issue. But at least it is there in the public's eye. At least we can try, because through and if you look at it, there are two narratives. एक mainstream media है, एक YouTube channels में है. So when I went to cover the UP election, I was covering two elections: farmers' protests mainstream media was saying there's no difference, everything is fine. But if you see the YouTube channels, they were just showing the, how the farmers are unhappy with the government. So fortunately, you are getting both sides of you. The only problem is that how do you know कि कौन सा fake है, कौन सा real है, कौन सा overboard है, कौन सा even the farmers' protest, it was portrayed as a huge thing, but it was actually, it didn't even go to East UP. It was stuck in West UP. So there are things that you have to also take with a pinch of salt. The other side, it's everything is not black and white, unfortunately.
But how do you feel like your reporting has changed as a result of potential of your censorship?
So I'll tell you something, even the censorship was there earlier also, it's not that it wasn't. What used to happen was, earlier on, there was 10 Janpath, and there was Manmohan Singh, at least, immediate earlier on. They never used to react. So anything we used to write, if I used to write, Chidambaram used to phone and say, yaar, mere khilaf ye likha hai. If I say anything about the government in general or Prime Minister in general, he's not bothered. If I say something about Sonia Gandhi and all, they never react. If I write about Kapil Sibal would phone, Jairam Ramesh used to phone so often because of him. Here, because there's only one man who counts, everything is related on the PMO. So we get all the calls related to Modi because, he is the only one who matters. Even when I do interviews, if I do interviews with anyone, they're very boring. At least in the Congress, when you do interviews, you used to get a Jairam point of view, Chidambaram point of view. Everybody had an individual this thing. So everybody is reading from the same press release. Yeah, so they don't talk to us, and there's no fun in being a journalist, to tell you the short answer.
So you're saying there's no freedom of expression in this world?
I think limited freedom of expression, yes. There is, it will be stupid to say that there is no censorship. There is.
Hello, I'm Kalpana Champawat. This side, yeah, please. Hello there. Just to give you a background, I've done media studies from Symbiosis International University, Pune. I just wanted to raise one point. When I was in college back in 2009, we had a faculty, Dr. Arvind Yenari, who was handling the international relations, and he was a well-read person. And he had mentioned that Indian government, if someone capable to become a future leader is Jaswant Singh Ji Jasol, which we are all aware of, not because he's from this place, but internationally also he was well known. Who do you think will be suitable to Jaswant Singh Ji Jasol in present scenario at national level from the leaders?
You mean a regional leader who will have an international appeal, or in terms
somebody
of
who can, like for Jaswant Singh Ji Jasol, he handled defense ministry, he handled finance ministry, so he was like master of all trades, not jack of all trades. So that way, somebody who could handle any ministry and would give his best.
No, see, it also see how much freedom you are given to handle ministries. Today, everything is PMO driven. They are just given scripts to read. I don't think any of them can put their individual mind. This thing they are just the face of the decisions which are taken by somebody else.
Right, that we've seen in Rajasthan election and Rajasthan CM which was chosen. So
yeah,
we're
exactly.
not aware of that. Yeah, but from your research.
But see, I think Jyotiraditya Scindia has a good face. He would do well. Although Milind Deora hasn't come on the national scene, but he speaks well. See, there are people who have a governance background and people who are mass leaders. So, like a Tejasvi Yadav is coming up, but I don't think he would be good at the finance ministry or the external affairs ministry. From the Congress, I would say there is Shashi Tharoor. She wanted to ask me about Shashi Tharoor. So I think there are a couple of Hardeep Puri. There is a lot of people who are, different. It depends on the thing, but we have people with potential for sure.
Right, and one thing I wanted to ask is, like you mentioned about Priyanka Gandhi in the generation, like future leaders. Why not Smriti Irani? She's quite popular and she has the human connect with people. So, do you think Smriti Irani would make her, if given a chance?
You ask the person who hasn't given her a chance. She is the one who won Amethi. She won a trophy seat. Why didn't they promote her? They just kept her into women and child. So this, whatever they may say, women as finance minister, but they, what about the other women? There's just, a lot of it is tokenism. But Smriti Irani is a very feisty person. She speaks well. But she's also, sometimes, like for instance, I don't know if you saw that interview where she lit into that journalist Sudhir Chaudhary, who is actually very pro BJP. Or she started asking him, "Aapke haat jail gaye the? Kya hua tha?" She antagonized someone who is pro the government. So I think they want someone who will also stick to a certain script, or for whatever reasons, I'm told that there is also Amit Shah doesn't like her much. So the internal politics are also there.
That's why she's not in that future leaders list, right?
That is why she's not in the future.
Thank you.
But I just thought of something, Dhananjay, to answer your question, sorry, a lot of it is also to do with the model of financing. Why we have to be, whichever government is there, we have to be taking their line, because a lot of our finance comes from government, state governments, and the YouTube channels who don't have very many overheads. So they don't depend on government for financing. So they can be more independent than us, because at the end of the day, we get our finance from whichever government or state government is in power. Mamata Banerjee is as bad as the central government.
Hi, I'm Dr. Manisha Bhargav, and I have a question. Present CM Arvind Kejriwal, for his reasons for arrest, how genuine are they, or is he being framed?
Wow, that's a question for Abhishek Manu Singhvi. In fact, I was joking, my book is called The Contenders Who Will Lead India Tomorrow. So I was telling Singhvi it should be called The Contenders Who Will Abhishek Manu Singhvi Defend Tomorrow. Because all the opposition leaders are in jail. They all his clients. So the case I have not followed very much, because there's a lot of financial ka upar niche bhi hai. So they are claiming that he took money he framed the liquor policy as a way of laundering money which came from the south, which is why Kavita Rao is in jail. So to sound very cynical, politics mein ye hota hai. It's just when you want to go off. Like Mahua Moitra, at the end of the day, what have they got against her? What has she done? So if they want to, I was asking somebody in the BJP, he's saying, you have to be careful when you're going after the government, then you should just do everything. Because when they want to, they will find something. What have they found against her? That she gave her login to somebody else. A login to post questions which she was aware that they were posting, so she says. Is it such a big crime that she's suspended? But she has not stuck to the rule. So there's a rule book. If they want to, they can catch you. They can catch you on anybody. If you look at it, किसी ने गड़बड़ नहीं करी है. Somebody's broken a red light. Tomorrow they'll come after you. आपने उसमें चालान नहीं भरा, jail जाओ. So the rule book says that if you don't. So it's just who do you want to go after more than how strong the case is.
So what do you foresee?
For Kejriwal. He's getting a lot of sympathy, so I'm not sure. I'm sure Modi is smarter than me, he's figured it out. But there is a lot of sympathy that is for him, which may not work in this election, but Delhi Assembly election is not far away. So usme I have a feeling it may actually work in his favor. So I don't know why.
That's free gifting.
Huh?
That's because it is free gifting.
Who's not free gifting? Have you seen the manifestos?
So hello. Yeah. So I'm just like, there's a concern throughout India sprouting, like save democracy. Like there is a new notion, save democracy in India. So the backbone of democracy is an unbiased journalism. So what is your say, like how biased the things are going, and like which direction journalism is going these days? Like the biased notion, every statement, every news channel, that unbiased journalism which we were used to looking in the childhood with like, वो एक आज तक का चैनल आता था, वो सब अब नहीं दिख रहा है. So like what is your view on that?
I'm totally आपसे सहमत हूँ. But पहले हमको था कि हम न्यूज़ देते थे, अब हम व्यूज़ दे रहे हैं. We are not, early on there was the news is already out there, so everybody. I also have that problem when something is happening. For instance, how I report it. If I say a BMW car goes and kills a pedestrian, I can speculate. रात को हुआ था, maybe the guy was drunk. BMW का है तो he must be a rich guy's spoiled rich brat. But if I say Hindu was killed, that's it's also how you present the news, and unfortunately a lot of the latter is happening in today's presentation, which is sad.
Hello ma'am. I'm Manglesh Randawat, ACP here right now, posted in Jodhpur. I have a question to you. How do you see media trial of crime, since you have been a crime reporter in your early stages?
In fact, media trial is something I think which gets a lot of TRPs, because crime really sells. Uske upar, who done it, and if there is a famous person involved, then there is, unfortunately, during COVID I saw when media behaved so responsibly. We were actually behaving, it was our best moment. we were giving information, we were talking to doctors, we were talking to people, this is what the rule is, this is what it is. And just when COVID finished, we did the Sushant Rajput. Back to that whole, this thing. So media trial is unfortunately something we all fall into. That's easy journalism. It's been Shashi Tharoor to call it yellow journalism because he's been also part of the receiving end. Unfortunately, but that's...
But ma'am, it anyways hinders the investigation of the police a lot, and it creates a false image in the public. So how do we deal with it?
I think dealing with it is, it has to be again, the other side has to come up with more information. And for instance, in any crime case, letters are leaked, stories are leaked, and all unattributed sources and all that. So I think in here, unfortunately, your task becomes more this thing that you have to actually come and brief into the actual story, kya ho raha hai, and a face has to come. You have to come yourself. You can't attribute to sources, but your PR or whoever has to actually come and brief. So we know so and so and deny the stories. Unfortunately,
A proper mode of conduct should be made.
More on that, I wanted to know how objective you've been, because the names that you mentioned are primarily from the dynasty, and as you also talked about, they've lived in oblivion, they have not been connected to the ground reality. In the list, is there a leader like Annamalai from the south who is actually from the ground, worked his way up, and I want to know what you think of a leader like him? And are there other leaders like Annamalai who can make it to the list? If not this list, maybe the next list that you plan to come out, I don't know. And also, how do you foresee your list influencing people? Because you're coming up from journalism vis-a-vis reporting. You said everybody's a reporter today, everybody's coming up with some or the other information sharing. We want to know an analytic background, person who assimilates everything, makes their own inferences and shares. That's why you have experts, like I consider you an expert. So I want to know the journalist thinking vis-a-vis a reporter's thinking, and also let me know about what you think of Annamalai. I'm keen to understand your views. Thank you.
Annamalai is doing very well, and he's also a professional. In fact, I think a lot more professionals should come into politics because he's also, he's IPS. He's doing well, but whether he can win the election or not, because he's also standing on a BJP ticket in the south, so that is not going to really work in his favor.
25%.
Yes, but so I'm not sure whether he's going to win the election or not, but definitely he has created a stir, and he is the face of the future. If not this, then the next election for sure. He hadn't really come up when I did the book, that was the other thing. But Revanth Reddy, DK Shivkumar, there are others, but why Dynas is because if you look at all the regional parties, they're all led by Dynas. BJP is the only one where is not. So there is a Yogi, there is a Hemanta, Scindia's come in, but Scindia, at my book launch, even Abhishek Manu Singh, we made that point saying there is a glass ceiling because they still think he's an outsider, despite his grandmother being such a RSS, this thing. So he will not be allowed to go that far and no further. So non-Dynas to BJP में ही है, बाकी all the regional party are Dynas, so I had to look at them there.
So Annamalai has not made it, I think.
Annamalai, no, because if I would write it today, yes, he would be in it. Or let me wait till the next elections and see what happens.
Thank you.
Hi ma'am, I'm Lavendra Singh Rathore here.
Sorry,
So, मेरा सवाल आपसे है कि आपको ऐसा नहीं लगता है कि अब जो जर्नलिज्म है वो जर्नलिज्म कम और टेररिज्म ज़्यादा हो गया? दूसरी चीज़ कि जर्नलिस्ट को सिर्फ नेगेटिव ही नज़र आता है इंडिया में, कुछ भी क्या पॉजिटिव नहीं है? बिकॉज जब भी हम न्यूज़ चैनल्स को देखते हैं, एक तो आजकल न्यूज़ चैनल जो 24 घंटे के हो गए, उनके पास में सामान कुछ होता नहीं है, एक ही न्यूज़ को रिपीट 3 दिन 4 दिन तक चलाते हैं। मुझे याद है एक इंसिडेंस जब राजीव गांधी जी से पूछा गया था कि आपके यहाँ पे एक स्कैम की एवरेज एज क्या होती है, तो दैट सिंपल मैन उसने आंसर दिया कि जब तक कोई दूसरा ना हो जाए। तो मुझे न्यूज़ चैनल्स को देखकर ऐसे ही लगता है कि हम एक कहानी को तब तक घसीटते हैं जब तक हमें एक दूसरी कहानी नहीं मिल जाती है। दूसरा, काफ़ी सारे नेगेटिव इश्यूज जो होते हैं उसको बहुत प्रोमिनेंटली बताया जाता है, शायद TRP हो या व्हाटएवर द थिंग्स, बट उसकी वजह से आप पूरे नेशन की पूरी जनरेशन को एक नेगेटिव डायरेक्शन में लेकर जाते हैं। जस्ट एन स्टोरी कि कर्नाटका में कहीं किसी स्कूल के अंदर हिजाब को लेकर किसी लड़की ने कुछ किया और फिर उसमें अल्लाह अकबर और जो है बजरंग दल के और उसके वो सारे लोग, और उसके बाद में कश्मीर से लेकर कन्याकुमारी तक मौलानाओं की एक फौज खड़ी हो गई और उसके इंटरव्यूज चल रहे हैं और 4 दिन तक उस न्यूज़ को जो है घसीटा गया था चैनल पे, और जिनको नहीं भी पता था वहाँ भी ये सारी चीज़ें शुरू हो गई। तो कहीं ऐसा नहीं लगता है कि ये प्लांट किए जाती हैं चीज़ें?
आई टोटली अग्री विद यू। और जो अभी जो न्यूज़ है, जैसे मैंने कहा न्यूज़ कम है, व्यूज़ ज़्यादा है, तो कहाँ ओपिनियन क्रिएट करना, एक माहौल बनाना है, वो ज़्यादा हो रहा है। आपने देखा होगा ड्यूरिंग द जनवरी की फर्स्ट वीक में हर चैनल आस्था चैनल हो गया था, मतलब रामायण के किस्से पढ़े जा रहे थे। देयर वाज द होल थिंग वाज ऑन फॉर 2 वीक्स, वही इशू था। देयर वर अदर थिंग्स दैट आर हैपनिंग, लेकिन बिकॉज यू वांट टू क्रिएट द न्यूज़ इन अ सर्टेन वे, और अगर एक चैनल कर रहा है, एक तो थोड़ा सा एलके अडवाणी ने बड़ा फेमसली कहा था ना, इमरजेंसी के टाइम में द मीडिया वाज आस्क्ड टू बेयर इट क्रॉल। तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली अब यहाँ भी देख रहे हैं कि ये न्यूज़ ऐसे प्ले कर रहा है, तो लेट मी प्ले दिस न्यूज़ फॉरवर्ड। अ लॉट ऑफ चैनल्स आर आल्सो ट्राइंग टू करी फेवर विद द गवर्नमेंट, तो वो सोचते हैं कि उनको ये पसंद आएगा अगर हम हिंदू मुस्लिम इशूज़ ज़्यादा प्ले करें, या वॉट एवर रीजन्स उनके हैं पोलराइज के। तो इट इज़ सैड, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली वी हैव सम एंकर्स हु डू दिस एंड they are given favoritism by the government. So आप 2+2 आप ही करिए, क्या कहाँ पे करिए, क्या कहाँ पे कहानी चल रही है।
आपको ऐसा नहीं लगता कि अब जो भी जर्नलिज्म ये हो रहा है इसके ऊपर सेंसरशिप होनी चाहिए बहुत स्ट्रांगली?
I'm scared of censorship because censorship is giving a knife. It's a two-edged knife ना, किसी के हाथ में आप इतना पा दो। I think within journalism को अपने ही हमको कुछ, we have editors guild, हमारे पास हैं ऐसी bodies, पर कोई सुनता नहीं एक दूसरे की प्रॉब्लम ये है। So the solution will come. It's coming a lot from social media. People are commenting, people are calling them out. अगर आप ट्विटर में देखेंगे तो कहते हैं, उनकी क्लिप्स आ रही हैं कि आप भाई बीजेपी के साथ ऐसे सवाल करते हो और कांग्रेस के साथ ऐसा सवाल करते हो। तो उस तरह के पीपल आर बीइंग अवेयर। थोड़ा सा मुझे लगता है मोर एंड मोर, स्पेशली इलेक्शन के टाइम सोशल मीडिया बहुत एक्टिव हो रहा है। दैट इज ऑल्सो बिकमिंग अ वॉच डॉग। वो हो गया वॉच डॉग विच इज़ पब्लिक, आप लोग हैं वॉच डॉग्स, बिकॉज सोशल मीडिया कौन है, सिटीजन्स कर रहे हैं, तो उधर से आ रहा है बहुत। एंड I don't want to give powers to government because that will never help, some other, abhi you think it may help you, tomorrow somebody will use it against you. So it's better that the censorship comes from public opinion. That I think works better.
Yeah, hi. I'm Gaurav. I have a question. Do you think in last 10 years India has developed? And second, as a journalist, when you were going outside India, do you get more respect now or you used to get more respect 10 years back?
You can answer that personally rather than for journalists as a whole. I think India has developed, but it is, you can say that digital payments hua hai because of demonetization, but you can also say digital payments was something, an idea whose time has come and the roots was laid, it just didn't happen overnight. So we've developed because that is the cost of development. For one person, one government to take credit for it is also not fair, because there is a process. There is, when liberalization happened, everything happened. There is a whole step chronology to it.
Yeah, but to add to this, ma'am, a team without a good leader is a crowd. So if we have a good leader who is making all the policies and he's a single person, so what I felt was, your opinion that you were not happy with the one person doing everything and getting the credit as a journalist. But if India has developed, there is no harm inside that.
No, there's no harm, it's good, but it's the credit part, And the one good thing that has happened is, for instance, when the lockdown happened, the longest lockdown was in India. You need someone who has the authority. So you do need a strong leader who can implement. The problem with the Congress was that there was no strong leader. That, they actually brought down the office of the Prime Minister, which has come up, and which is also, in a way a good thing, because you need, leadership has to be strong, and it's, under a dictatorship is actually when things get done. So you have to also, trains ran on time during emergency, the famous saying. So end of the day, development, yes, it is happening. Last 10 years, we've also got a lot of recognition abroad, which, and in terms of messaging, in terms of marketing, which is good, because there is a certain image perception. It's all about optics. So we are sending out the right optics, which we didn't earlier. I mean, it's not that Manmohan Singh, look at his credentials, but he never played them up. The Congress never played it up. Now they are suffering for it because they wanted to play Rahul Gandhi more than Manmohan Singh. So
the last question regarding journalism is how can we judge a journalist is right? Because I personally feel that everyone is behind the masala, the scoop, as gentleman here said, and people there also said. So do you think we should trust the journalists? Because वो भी मसाले के लिए ही है. It's more of a business now.
But see, now journalists have also become brands. So you look at the anchor and you will know who is telling the stories, also where the person is coming from. So if you know Priya is saying this is where Priya is coming from, and you know this is what how you take her. Now it's every news has a face, you know. So you have to go as to who is also saying it. Unfortunately, that's a good and a bad thing. Everything has become personalized, even news.
Been an extraordinary evening. I would like to thank Prabha Khaitan Foundation for giving the people of Jodhpur a platform to interact with eminent writers. On behalf of the foundation, I would like to thank our sponsor, Shree Cement Limited, and our hospitality partner, Taj Hari Mahal, who have always gone out of their way to support our endeavors. Priya, we are honored to have you here and share our deepest appreciation for sharing your time, expertise, and invaluable insights with all of us. Your words have inspired us and enriched our understanding of the complex issues, political and otherwise. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
A special word of thanks to our charming moderator, Sevantika, whose skillful facilitation and thoughtful questions made for a captivating conversation that kept us all engaged and enlightened throughout the session. Now, as we bring this enlightening session to a close, I want to express our gratitude to each and every one of you in the audience who, with the engagement, thoughtful questions, and enthusiasm, enriched our session manifold. Let us continue to engage with literature to seek knowledge in pursuit of a more enlightened, empathetic world. I now request the audience to get their copy of books signed by the author. Thank you very much.